Greetings, I'm Professor K, and in this short video presentation, we're going to take a look at how we can go about accessing Kali across the WAN with NGROK. So the big question that I get asked way too often is, hey, how do I hack a website on the internet and be able to have that information come back into my Kali machine? Well, the only way you can do that normally is if you have a firewall or a router that is configured to allow internet traffic to come back into your network, and you have a static mapping that points on over to your Kali machine, and it will then be able to receive information directly from the internet. Now, of course, the other way we can do that is by establishing a point-to-point connection with our target using SSH or even a VPN. But it all comes down to having a tunnel established between your Kali machine and the target machine that is across the WAN somewhere. NGROK is an application that provides external internet access to your private systems that reside behind a NAT or a firewall. NGROK provides an encrypted TCP tunnel that provides an internet accessible address or a URL you initiate using a web browser. And though NGROK has many possibilities, for this lab, I will be showing you how to create a connection back to your web server on your Kali from anywhere on the internet. For this lab, I'll be using VirtualBox, the latest edition with the extension pack and the guest editions installed. One virtual install of Kali Linux recently updated and upgraded. One Windows 7 Pro, Windows 10 Pro, or Server 2012, 2016, or 2019 virtual installation. All VirtualBox adapters need to be set to NAT network. You're also going to have, of course, internet access. Now, when I'm working on anything inside of Kali, I like to use a work folder. So for this demonstration, I'll be using a work folder from my desktop, and I've called that work folder NGROK, and you can see it right here. So before we can download NGROK and install it onto our Kali machine, we're first going to have to register with the NGROK site. Now, before we do that, we're going to have to get ourselves a temporary email address. This is to protect ourselves or protect those who may be thinking about using this type of service for nefarious activities, such as delivering payloads and such. So from our Kali machine, let's go up here to our application launcher, and let's go ahead and launch a web browser. There are plenty of free email services out there that will provide you with a free temporary email address if you need to have an email address to register with some particular site. In this case, we need one so that we can register to download NGROK. So I'm going to go ahead and just check this little box here. It says I'm human. And then we have to look at all the bicycles. Do that again. And then we're redirected. Now here's your temporary email address. Now this is not your particular email address. This is just an example of what you will see when you register for your temporary email address. So you're going to want to go ahead and right click on that and go ahead and copy. Let's open up another browser, and we're going to go on over to ngrok.com. And so once you're over here on the NGROK site, just going on here at the bottom, you're going to sign up for free. And again, you're going to type in a name. Now, give it a fake name because this is going to be prevalent when you look at the information that NGROK is going to give you about the tunnel it creates. So don't be using your real name. You're going to use that fake email address, and you're going to give it a password. Then you're going to check the box that says, I'm not a robot. Now, once you have logged on to NGROK, you're going to go ahead and perform a download for Linux, and you're going to save this to that NGROK folder that we created on our desktop. Just go ahead and do the download. Go ahead and do a save. From here, you're just going to go to the download folder. From here, you're just going to grab it. As I just right click on it, and I just go to copy like so. I'll close that out. I'll minimize my browser. I'll go into my NGROK folder here, and then I'm just going to right click and I'm going to paste it. Now, once you have done that, you're going to see this folder right here. Now once you have the downloaded folder where you want it, just right click on it, and from the context menu you're going to select extract here. Once everything has been extracted, you're going to see the application sitting inside of your work folder. Once the extraction is complete, just go ahead and close out that work folder. And now you're going to find it on your desktop. You're going to right click and you're going to select from the context menu, Open Terminal here. Let's bring back up our browser. We're still logged on to the NGROK site. Scroll on down, and this is your authentication token. Each time you attempt to create a tunnel using NGROK, that is to say the NGROK application running on your Kali machine will attempt to establish a connection back with the NGROK server, and to do that it's going to need this authentication token. You're going to go ahead and just copy the entire string. You're now going to bring back up your terminal. You're going to right click and you're going to paste from the clipboard. You're then just going to hit enter. Now once you do that, that's going to give you the authentication that you need each time you launch NGROK. NGROK depends on your Apache server, so we're going to have to start the Apache service. To do this, at your prompt, you're going to type in service space Apache2 space start. Once you've done that, just hit enter. Notice that it comes back to the prompt, letting you know that that command completed successfully. As I stated earlier, we're going to create a tunnel that's going to allow HTTP and HTTPS traffic from the outside to come into our private network and access our Apache server that is sitting on our Kali machine. So to do this, we have to tell NGROK to go ahead and launch and to use port 80. At the prompt, I've typed in / that says that I want you to launch at my root folder, which is my work folder for NGROK, the executable, and I want you to tell it that it's going to use port 80. Now once you've done that, just go ahead and hit enter. Now watch what happens. Immediately it pops up and it creates the tunnel between your Kali machine and the NGROK server. Now anybody who wants to come into your Kali machine will have to use this address right here. We're not configured right now for TLS, so that's not going to allow a secure connection using HTTPS to come into my Kali machine, but I will be allowed to use HTTP. So once I grab this link right here, I'm just going to go ahead and copy the selection like so. You'll see that it tells you that anybody who uses this address will be redirected to our local machine using port 80. So let's see how that works. Let's bring back up a browser. Now, I'm going to use a browser from my local host because it's not part of my Kali network. And I'm going to go to the internet just like I normally would. So here's the internet. This is my local host. It's a Windows 10 machine. I'm just going to open up a browser. I'm going to copy and paste that address in there. And when I hit enter, it's going to give me access to the Apache web service that is running on my Kali machine up inside of that virtual network. So I could have accessed that Apache web server on my Kali machine from anywhere in the world across the internet using this tunnel. So a couple of caveats. We're only allowed one tunnel at a time using the free version. The other thing is we don't have a permanent address. So this address for this web server is not going to stay static very long. We got a set number of hours that we can use it. But if you were, let's say, somewhere out there in the world and you need to get access to something on your web server, it may be running on a Kali machine, then you could use this service to establish that tunnel. So if I wanted to deliver something to someone and I wanted them to be able to access my Kali machine or my Apache web server to get that something, then I could go in and I could add that something to the HTML folder on my web server, and they would be able to have access to it, such as a piece of malware. So if I type in payload.exe and I hit enter, it's going to pull that payload executable from my HTML folder and make it available to whoever wants to download it and install it on their machine. Could I use this free service to establish a reverse shell by delivering a payload that would establish the reverse shell between my target and my Kali machine? Yes, but not across this particular tunnel, because you're only allowed one connection at a time. Now, I've not been able to get the reverse shell to work using this NGROK service, and I don't think anybody else has either. I see a lot of people out there running labs and making videos, but they keep leaving this part of the lab out. That is to say, showing how that client actually connects back to the Kali machine and establishing a reverse shell. What I'm seeing is some underhanded stuff where they're actually establishing the reverse shell using a local internal IP address with one of their target machines. I'm also seeing a lot of information on the internet about how this can be used to hack Android phones by delivering a payload to that phone and having the user on the phone install the application. But here's what I'm finding. I'm finding people are not able to establish that reverse shell, and they're doing a lot of misdirection by showing you what the user is seeing once the application has been compromised. But I'm not seeing it from the Metasploit terminal or the MetaPredator prompt. So it leads me to believe that everybody's experiencing the same thing, but everybody's using a lot of misdirection, indicating that, yeah, it really works great for establishing that reverse shell, but I've not seen it happen. But if you're doing pen testing somewhere remotely and you want to set up your Kali machine to have a lot of different applications, payloads, and things of that nature made available to you remotely, then you can go ahead and create that tunnel using the Pro service. That'll be a static tunnel that you can launch, keep it established, and then when you get to the remote site and then you need to access it, that is to say your Apache web server remotely, you shouldn't have any problem by just bringing up a browser and getting what you need. And of course, you can place anything you want inside that HTML folder, send out the link that was created for the tunnel to one of your friends or to an associate or to anyone you know on the internet and say, hey, you can go here and you can get this application or you can get this file by using my web server that's on my Kali machine. So you have to keep this screen up here that is for the tunnel. Now once I close this out, that's going to kill the tunnel. So be aware of that. So let's go ahead and minimize this window. Let's go ahead and minimize my browser, and let's go ahead and open up our file system. Over here on the file system, we can now scroll down till we come to the var folder, and over here we're going to find the www folder, and there's your HTML folder. Now anything you want to share out with anybody from this Kali machine using a web server has to go inside of this HTML folder. So this is where I have the payload. This is the default web page that we saw when I loaded that Apache web server remotely. So if I have images, forms, videos, whatever it is I want to share with someone, I can put it inside of this HTML folder and they can access it from the internet using this tunnel that we created using NGROK. So in this short video presentation, we got to see how easy it is to allow internet access from the internet back into our Kali machine without having to reconfigure a firewall or our router. All we have to do is establish that tunnel between our Kali machine and the NGROK server, and then give somebody the address or the URL that they're going to use to establish that connection with the NGROK server, where they will be redirected back on over to your Kali machine. You got questions? You got concerns about anything that was shown to you in this short video presentation? Please don't hesitate. Reach out, contact your instructor, and I'll see you in my next video.